everyone. Welcome back. We had a quick commercial break, but we are still with Shawn Owen. So, with us now, we've been talking about finance and financial literacy and helping our community. But what I want to now do with you is let's pivot a little bit because so many people in the US are currently going through employment transitions. They are looking forward to new opportunities. They are maybe creatives, entrepreneurs, business owners, but somebody like yourself, you come from the financial space and you did have a salaried position working for an organization, but you took the leap of faith, I guess, believing in yourself, and you've now transitioned into financial services, which of course is I don't want to use the word commission based, but you are no longer on salary and it's all on you. So talk to us a little bit about that transition and what gave you the strength to make that transition for your family.
I appreciate that. It's been a roller coaster per se. I've not only done W-2 throughout the years. I've been doing this for over 20 years as far as financial services, but I've tried to leap of faith once before. The time was not the greatest for me. I guess if I can really speak my reality is that believing in yourself is key. Knowing your skills, knowing you're willing to grab more into subsets into your skill point. And I like to see it like an arrow with a quiver. My quiver is already preset. The more I'm learning, the more I'm filling it up, so I have more opportunities. But to be able to go from the W-2 space into the 1099 space is it's heart jumping. Every day's a new day for sure. I am not the person to tell everyone to say, go be an entrepreneur. Because truth be told, we do need some people who are cogs that can keep the wheel running. But we also need the person who has the stamina to pedal. And that's where the entrepreneur comes in. You're going to keep fighting that steam and growing as time goes on. Now, with that being said, moving from that W-2 space to 1099 space, there were a couple of things that gave incentive. Incentive is number one, being able to make my own schedule. Now I can work my business around my family as opposed to working my family around my job. That was my first incentive. Second incentive is it's like being a hunter. You eat what you kill. And some days you can actually eat an elephant as opposed to trying to find a little mouse. And those are good days. Those are great days. But the same thing, just like a hunter, there are some days where you don't find anything to hunt with. You have everything preset, but you couldn't find the prey to allow yourself to become, I guess, satiated in the end. So that transition, if you ever consider doing that, yes, there has been a huge leap of changes in how the employment, I guess, world has been over the last, I want to say, since 2017 or so, just looking at statistics. We've seen this up and down in the employments. Now, if you're willing to take on that leap for yourself, whether you have a family or not, you got to find your drive and don't let it go. In our office, they use an expression, all gas all the time. And please, if you're going into this world, you can't let go of the pedal. Keep going forward.
I love that. People that know me, I always say one speed, right? People, when they meet me, because I'm high energy, they're like, oh my goodness. And I go, listen, one speed, fast, right? Because I don't ever want to slow down. And I love everyday learning. And every now and again, somebody will approach me and say, I'd love to make you an offer to come on board and work for my company. And I am so thankful for those opportunities, but it would take away from everything that I built about myself, right? And all the things that I value. And very similarly, being able to set the schedule and work around my family and be present when I need to. And not, it's a different sense, I think, of responsibility. Now, you went from, I've always been a free spirit entrepreneur and a creative. I really have never had that W-2 job, which I know sounds so funny, right? I've never really had that. But you had that and you have children and you have a family. When you are making that transition for yourself and for others, do you recommend that there's a certain amount of savings that you have available? Like, how did you structure your time and your budget? Because going into something new could be very fearful. How do we get over that problem?
It's a two-part process to me in my head. Your home situation is above all. If you're living with someone who can help you handle bills, it does make it a little bit easier. If you're the breadwinner or the only person involved, now we have to consider what bills are ahead of you. How much time can you really put yourself out there and taking the risk of what if I don't start growing immediately? Now, what does that look like? Typically, in the financial world, you hear the expressions of 6 to 9 months of savings. If you feel comfortable with doing that, you think you can jump the gun and just say, hey, listen, I need 3 months worth and I know I can start making something. If you have a solid plan, kudos to you. Me personally, I had a year's worth. That gave me that background to say, all right, I have a year to play around, and then I have 6 months just in case it's not immediate. And if that doesn't work out, I guess I'm getting back in the employment line saying, hey, my name is Shawn Owen. Please take me on.
Now, let's talk for a minute about how you created your new opportunities. Was it something that you went out and had to start networking, or did you have your own base?
Networking is a necessity. You have to find, and I'm going back to my hunter analogy. You have to find new opportunities. And those opportunities are you can't keep fishing in the same spot over and over. It's going to get dry. You got to move on. Sometimes you go collaborate with other fishermen. They'll tell you about good spots that you can find more fish at too. That networking component is a need. I don't care if you're doing analyst work for one corporation as a outside contractor. You got to use new opportunities because one day they're going to say, "Thank you, I appreciate you, but we're satisfied now." Now, what do you do?
Mhm.
Networking is key in every business. I don't believe everyone is completely an introvert. There's some places you like to be. Maybe you have your little hole at home. You can be a nomad when you want to and get away from there, but you still need one or two people to keep this world running.
And my last question, just for the sake of time, is who are your drivers that keep you getting up every morning and holding you accountable to the man that you need to be for yourself, for your family, for your new career?
Wife, son one, son two, son three, the mortgage.
And then, and I understand that completely because I wake up every day and again, those that know me personally, I wake up and because my kids have gotten older now, right? Like my youngest is going to be 16, my oldest is going to be 28, right? So for me, I have like my kids are a little bit older, but my wake up every day and my why, of course, is always my family, but you always have to still do something for yourself and I found that as soon as I started doing things for me, everything else started falling into place because it was no longer about me needing to support my family or be a driver for my family, but I needed to also learn how to be a driver for myself.
I agree.
And my why became, my hobby farm.
Huh.
So, every time somebody has goals and they go, next time I have a big fat check, I'm going to do this. I'm like, next time I get a big fat check, I can't wait to buy, my little mini donkey or my little cow and put them up at my farm. But, everybody's drivers are different. And I love that not only Long Island, but social media has opened us up to so many opportunities for working with of like kind and giving people ideas and suggestions and connections. I feel like over the last handful of years, for those people that are in transition,
Mhm.
social media more than ever has become a big part of their push because you have all of these masterminds and online groups and people that you can connect to. So if you are looking to expand, become a creative, transition from one career to another. Do what my friend Shawn did, go from a W-2 job to a 1099 job. There are so many opportunities out there. So, based on time, one last thought. Give our listeners one last thought if they are considering transitioning from W-2 to 1099.
Don't be afraid. That is the fear will always exist on one plane or the other. The plane of I'm not making enough because of my W-2, or the plane of I'm not making enough because I'm self-employed. That will never be satisfying. What can be satisfied is the one thing you can never buy back, which is time. The best thing about being a non-W2 person is that you're in control of your time. Not 100%, But you'd be surprised how much more you can make happen when you're in control of the schedule instead of someone telling you how to live in their schedule. Make
I
your
love
choice.
it. I love it. Shawn, you are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. That's it. That's a wrap for our show. Thank you so much for joining us on the Credit Authority. Stay tuned because we have Forbes Riley coming up next week.